I punched this one kid. I had this one kid in my street back at the house I used to live in. He was like the street bully, like your typical street bully. Fucking would throw rocks at the kids down the streets. Me and Kobe would ride our bikes. He'd throw rocks at our backs and shit. We'd come home with bruises on our backs and that.
Really?
Yeah, this one time when I got home with Kobe, he had bruises all over his back from rocks being thrown at him. And my dad looked at me and he goes, mate, I want you to go fucking knock this kid out. And I'm like, all right. So I went out in the street.
Righto.
Found him and his little brother on a little fucking toy trike thing. It was like the smallest thing I've ever seen.
How old were you?
Oh, about 14.
Mason shot him 14 times in the chest.
Nah, mate. I fucking straight up just punched him in the head.
Really?
Yeah.
Did he go down?
No, because I kind of hesitated because it was the first time I ever laid my hands on someone.
Huh.
So like halfway through the punch, I like stopped, but then I finished it. And apparently...
Just lagged IRL.
Yeah, I lagged IRL pretty much.
Latency.
And yeah, he went home and called the police and they came over to my house. And yeah,
throwing rocks at you.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a little pussy.
Yeah, full called the police, and apparently he had like a big fucking black eye and shit like that.
Did you turn the tables on and be like, well, he was throwing rocks?
Yeah, 100%.
So you guys were in the clear?
Yeah. They said they threatened to put me on a 4-year behavior bond.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah,
Just
Bullshit.
for a little scrap as a kid?
yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty intense, but
Let kids fight. Let kids beat the shit out of each other.
I'm not a fan
It
of
is the natural way.
I think that
It is the natural way.
I think that it's a primitive way.
It
I
is
think that
ingrained in our biology and in our
I don't
brains
think-
instinctually to fight when there's an issue.
I think it's more intelligent not to fight though.
It is.
Yeah, I'm a believer
But
in self-defense, but I'm not a believer in, I wouldn't tell my kid to go knock that
No,
kid out.
I'm
you know
not.
what I mean?
Yeah,
no
I'm-
disrespect to your father.
I'm not saying to duel.
Well,
I'm
he
not
didn't say
saying
he
to-
didn't say knock him out. He said go sword him out.
Okay, well, same
Yeah.
thing.
I'm not saying or advocating for kids to get into a ring whenever there's an issue, but I'm saying if somebody pushes somebody else and the kid punches the guy that pushed him, I don't think you should punish the guy that punched, and I also don't think you should punish the guy that pushed. I think they both figured it out.
Well, it obviously depends on the situation.
Yeah.
That's a very
Fair
basic
enough.
situation. But, I think you're right. If you shouldn't, a kid shouldn't get in trouble for self-defense.
Yeah.
Although, I think that it would be wise for adults to talk to both kids and be like, well, maybe you shouldn't use physical confrontation as a means of sorting out your issues. Because I think it's better to instill those values in kids.
Sometimes it's the only way for certain kinds of people to respect other kinds of people.
The only thing is though, like if kids are allowed to fight and don't get in any sort of repercussions for it, they're just going to go on into later life and think that that's the way to sort shit out.
Yeah,
you know?
but I think if they get into a fight, they're going to understand that fights generally aren't fun and they hurt, and so they'll be less inclined to fight. I just think it's a good way for people to settle beef.
I don't know, man. Fighting's pretty fun.
I don't think that evidence shows that at all. I think that if you
Haven't
instill
you
a culture of
haven't
fighting...
you heard of Street Beefs? There's this really interesting YouTube channel where
Yeah,
they get
that's
a bunch
how
of
cunts get stabbed.
No. They get a bunch of people in the hood that are having like disputes. So this guy isn't paying me money, or this guy's cheating with my girl, or whatever the fuck, whatever the beef is, however petty. That stuff usually brews, and it's a bunch of shit talking until somebody gets shot or stabbed or jumped with baseball bats.
Yeah.
And this one guy, who I believe is a ex-convict, he set up like a boxing ring in his backyard, and he goes, if you guys got beef on the street, goes around because he knows everybody in the community. He has people that are beefing go into the backyard with boxing gloves and headgear and just fight it out. And then after it's over, like they make up, and then that's the end of the issue, and they decide where they want to proceed with that. But usually at that point it ends. It's like a public spectacle, and they both just hash it out.
Well, what you're talking about is sparring.
yeah,
Well,
not
essentially,
fighting.
with
sure.
pads.
Sure.
Yeah. You're talking about like...
I think physical contest is just a necessity in just how we live.
I disagree, but I'm not going to act like I understand the inner mechanisms of living in the hood. Being a white kid from the burbs, I'm not going to pretend like I understand that lifestyle. But I think that values can be instilled in anyone from a young age that doesn't promote violence as a means of working things out. I understand that at times, you're just left in a situation where self-defense is your only option and you just have to fight back. I think that teaching kids self-defense is like a highly useful and healthy skill to learn.
Agree.
But I don't know if I agree with the premise that like it's necessary in some situations to have a physical confrontation to work things out. I think it's wiser to teach kids to communicate.
And I think you'd also find that there are plenty of kids that don't want to fight. So if the other kids are like, well, we're allowed to fight, to settle beef, and then the other kids are like, no, I don't want to fight. I have no interest in fighting. It would just be like kids attacking other kids for no reason.
That sounds awesome.